Okay, so are you ready to dive in? Today, we're tackling something pretty cool, I think. It's Mel Robbins' the 5-second rule.
Yeah, and just to be clear, we're not talking about food on the floor here.
Right, definitely not. We're talking about that mental trick, that countdown that helps you overcome procrastination and just get things done.
Exactly. It's like a little boost of courage on demand.
And by the end of this deep dive, you'll be able to put it into practice like a pro. No more excuses.
I love that. No more excuses. And what I find so fascinating about Robbins' approach is how simple it is. It's just a countdown. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then you act.
Yeah, no complicated strategies or anything, just a simple countdown. It's almost like a mental hack, right?
Exactly. A mental hack to break free from overthinking and get into action. And you know what's really cool?
What's that?
Robbins actually used this rule herself to break out of a slump. She was feeling stuck, hitting the snooze button every morning, just like so many of us.
Oh, I've been there.
Right, we've all been there. But she started using this countdown to, launch herself out of bed and tackle her goals.
Okay, so I can see how it works for something like getting out of bed, but how does a simple countdown help with bigger issues, like fear of public speaking or making a major life change?
You know, it might seem a little too simple at first, but there's a real science behind it.
Really? Tell me more about that.
It's all about interrupting that overthinking cycle. You know, the one that keeps us stuck in analysis paralysis. Think of your brain like a car stuck in neutral. The 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 countdown is like shifting into drive.
Oh, I like that analogy.
Yeah.
So it's not about ignoring our doubts or pretending they're not there.
Not at all. It's about shifting gears, moving from thinking to doing. It's about taking action despite those doubts.
Okay, so how does that actually work in the brain? Is there like a specific part of the brain that this countdown taps into?
Absolutely. The rule leverages the power of the prefrontal cortex, which is the part of our brain responsible for decision-making and taking action.
Interesting. So by counting down, we're basically snapping ourselves out of autopilot, like you said, and into intentional action mode.
Precisely. We're overriding that hesitation and tapping into something called the bias for action.
Oh yeah, I've heard that term before, but I'm not sure I fully understand it.
Well, it's actually pretty simple. Our brains are wired to do, not just think. But we get so caught up in overthinking and analyzing that we end up stuck.
Right, totally. And the 5-second rule helps us break free from that.
Exactly. The countdown helps activate that natural bias for action, that instinct to move forward, even when it feels a little scary.
It's almost like hacking our own biology. So, okay, I get that it helps us take action, but Robbins also talks a lot about the importance of taking small steps, right? Not trying to do everything at once.
Absolutely. Robbins emphasizes consistency over intensity. She argues that real, lasting change happens through those small, consistent actions, not some massive overnight transformation.
That makes sense. But aren't there times when big, bold changes are necessary? Like, what if you need to make a major career shift or move across the country? How does the 5-second rule work in those situations?
You're right. There are definitely times when we need to make big changes. And in those cases, the 5-second rule is still incredibly helpful.
How so?
It helps us overcome that initial fear and inertia. That first step, even a big one, is often the hardest. The 5-second rule gives us that push to get started, no matter how daunting the task might seem.
So it's like, no matter what the size of the challenge is, that countdown gives us the momentum to break through that initial resistance.
Exactly. Think about it. Whether you're finally quitting smoking or starting that business you've always dreamed of, the hardest part is often just getting started.
That's so true. It's like, once you take that first step, the rest becomes a little easier.
Right. And the 5-second rule helps us take that first step over and over again. It's like building a muscle, a habit of action.
And what's really exciting is that the 5-second rule isn't just about procrastination.
Oh, it goes way beyond that.
Yeah. As I was reading, I realized it's like this multi-tool for personal growth. You can apply it to breaking bad habits, overcoming fear and anxiety, boosting productivity.
Right. It can help you improve your relationships, advance your career, pursue your passions. The possibilities are really endless.
It's amazing how much power there is in this simple countdown. It's like it unlocks something in our brains.
It really does. And remember that snooze button example we talked about earlier?
Yeah.
That's a perfect example of a habit loop. You hear the alarm, you feel tired, you hit snooze. But the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 countdown can interrupt that loop.
Oh, I see. So instead of hitting snooze, you count down and get out of bed. You're breaking the old pattern and creating a new one.
Exactly. And that applies to so many other habits, too. Like, let's say you're trying to eat healthier. You get that craving for junk food, but instead of giving in, you count down and choose a healthier option.
Or like those tough conversations we talked about earlier. You're dreading calling someone, but you count down and pick up the phone anyway.
It's all about using that countdown to shift your focus from the fear or the discomfort to the action itself.
I'm starting to see how powerful this can be. It's not about eliminating those negative feelings. It's about not letting them control us.
That's it. The 5-second rule helps us act in alignment with our goals, even when our emotions are pulling us in a different direction.
So for our listeners who are excited to start using this, what's the best way to begin? Do you have any advice?
Well, the most important thing is to start small. Pick one specific area where you want to make a change. It could be anything, really.
So it doesn't have to be some huge, life-altering goal.
Not at all. It could be something as simple as drinking more water each day or making your bed every morning. The key is to build momentum, to create that connection between the countdown and action.
That makes sense. Start small, build confidence, and then tackle bigger challenges as you go.
Exactly. And remember, you don't have to do this perfectly. There will be times when you forget to use the rule or when it doesn't work quite as planned. But that's okay. Just keep practicing, keep experimenting, and see how the simple tool can transform your life.
So for everyone listening, if you're ready to take control, remember 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and take that first step.
And the next time you feel that hesitation, that pull to stay stuck, remember 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, you have the power to act. What will you choose?